Welcome to today's story. Imagine a creature standing tall in the darkness, its red eyes gleaming between the cold stone walls of an endless maze. Its roar echoes, both terrifying and lonely, like a lament from the depths. That is the Minotaur, one of the most classic images of Greek mythology. But the Minotaur is not just a monster with sharp horns and a giant body. Behind that appearance is a long tragedy, a cursed fate, and stories filled with blood, tears, and sacrifice. Today, we will enter the world of the Minotaur, not only to meet the beast, but also to understand it, a creature determined by the mistakes of others. Come explore with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more fascinating myths. The story of the Minotaur begins on the island of Crete, a rich and powerful land ruled by King Minos. Minos was a proud man, always wanting to prove himself to both humans and gods. One day, he knelt before the sea, begging Poseidon, the god of waves and earthquakes, to give him a beautiful white bull. The bull was not only a gift, but also a symbol of divine favor, which Minos would use as a sacrifice to strengthen his reputation. Poseidon, with rare generosity, agreed. From the deep blue waves, a pure white bull emerged, its hair shining like the sun, its horns curved like sickles, and its body huge and full of life. But Minos made a big mistake. When he saw the bull, he could not bring himself to kill it. It was so beautiful that he thought it a waste to sacrifice it. Instead, he chose another, less perfect bull to offer to Poseidon. He thought the gods would not notice that he could outwit even the sea god. But Poseidon was not one to be fooled. He was furious, and his revenge was not directed at Minos, but at the person closest to him, Queen Pasiphae, the gentle and beautiful wife of Crete. Poseidon cursed Pasiphae with a mad love, an uncontrollable lust for the white bull. She was haunted by it, day and night, dreaming of its mighty form, its deep eyes, and its deep, rolling breath. In her madness, Pasiphae sought out Daedalus, the great inventor of Crete, famous for his creations beyond human imagination. She begged him to help, and reluctantly, Daedalus crafted a hollow wooden bull, so elaborate it looked lifelike, so that Pasiphae could, get close to the bull. The result of this strange and terrifying relationship was a creature born, the Minotaur. The Minotaur, also known as Asterion, the name means a star, was no ordinary child. When he was born, the palace servants screamed in horror. His head was that of a bull, with long, curved black horns that were as sharp as blades. His eyes were a deep, fiery red, filled with both anger and unspoken sadness. His body was that of a human, but unusually tall, muscular as if carved from stone, covered with rough, dark brown hair. His arms were long, his claws were sharp, and his legs were as sturdy as pillars. Its first roar was not the cry of a newborn baby, but the sound of a wild beast, echoing throughout the palace, causing even Minos to tremble. This was not a prince, but a living curse, a testament to Minos' arrogance and Poseidon's revenge. The Minotaur was not raised in the light or in love. From the moment he was born, Minos looked upon him with disgust and fear. He could not bear the thought of this creature being even partially his blood. Minos ordered Daedalus, now an unwilling accomplice, to build a place to imprison the Minotaur forever. It was the Labyrinth, a giant maze carved into the earth of Crete. The stone walls were high, cold, covered in damp green moss. The passages were winding and tangled like a nightmare where the sunlight never penetrated. The labyrinth was not only a prison, but also a declaration. The Minotaur did not belong in the world of men. Imagine the Minotaur in that space, a creature over 2 meters tall, its horns touching the stone ceiling every time it raised its head, its powerful arms pounded against the walls, leaving cracks, but never enough to break through its prison. Its red eyes scanned the darkness as if searching for something, perhaps light, perhaps freedom, or simply someone to understand it. The Minotaur's roar was not only an expression of ferocity, but also the cry of an abandoned soul. It had no mother to hold, no father to teach, only loneliness and darkness to keep it company. But the Minotaur's fate became even darker when another tragedy occurred. Androgeus, Minos' beloved son, was killed in a tournament in Athens. Minos, in his grief and anger, blamed the people of Athens and decided to punish them. He decreed that at regular intervals, some say every year, some say every 9 years, Athens was to send 7 young men and 7 young women to Crete, all in the prime of their lives. They were thrown into the labyrinth weaponless, hopeless to be eaten by the Minotaur. The first victims entered the labyrinth on trembling legs. They heard the Minotaur's heavy breathing, in the distance the scrape of his hooves on the stone, and then a roar that seemed to tear the air apart. The Minotaur did not hesitate. With terrifying force, he charged, his horns piercing their bodies, his arms tearing away any resistance. Blood stained the stone floor, and their screams died away. But did the Minotaur really want to kill? Or was it just the instinct of a starved creature turned into Minos' instrument of vengeance? He had no choice, no voice. Every time blood was shed, the Minotaur became the monster that people feared, but deep down it was probably screaming in pain too. The Minotaur might have lived forever in the shadows had it not been for the appearance of one man, Theseus, Prince of Athens. Theseus was a typical hero, tall, strong, with curly black hair and eyes that burned with determination. He could not bear to see his people sent to their deaths any longer. So he volunteered to join the next group of tributes, vowing to destroy the Minotaur and end the curse. When Theseus arrived in Crete, he attracted the attention of Ariadne, daughter of Minos. Ariadne was as beautiful as the dawn, with golden hair and clear eyes, but she also carried the sadness of someone caught between her father and fate. She fell in love with Theseus at first sight and decided to help him. Ariadne secretly met Daedalus, the creator of the Labyrinth, and obtained a ball of golden thread. A simple tool, but enough to guide her through the labyrinth. She handed it to Theseus, whispering that he would take her away from Crete if he succeeded. Theseus entered the labyrinth, his sword gleaming in his hand, the golden thread tied tightly around his waist. He walked through the dark corridors, listening to the wind whistling through the rocks and the pounding of his heart. Then he heard it, the Minotaur's breathing, heavy and menacing. Theseus stopped, holding his breath, and then the giant shape of the Minotaur appeared before him. The Minotaur stood there, taller than any man Theseus had ever faced, his black horns curved, glinting in the faint light from the torch Theseus carried. His body was covered in muscle, his hair coarse with dust and dried blood from previous victims. His arms were long, his claws curved like scythes, ready to tear anything to pieces. But his eyes, those red eyes, were strange. Not only was there a ferocity in them, but also a deep sadness, as if the Minotaur knew that this encounter would seal its fate. The battle began. The Minotaur roared, the sound shaking the labyrinth, and charged with terrifying speed. The sharp horns were aimed straight at Theseus, but the hero of Athens quickly rolled aside, avoiding the fatal blow. Theseus's sword swung, slashing at the Minotaur's arm, but leaving only a small scratch. Its hide was thick and hard as stone. The Minotaur turned, more furious, slamming his fist into the floor, shattering the stone. Theseus backed away, Searching for a weak spot, he realized that the Minotaur's strength was also its weakness. It was too big, too slow for his agility. Finally, the decisive moment came. The Minotaur charged again, but Theseus leaped, using its own horns as a fulcrum, and drove his sword deep into the beast's chest. Black blood spurted out, hot as lava. The Minotaur roared one last time, a sound both of pain and of release, before falling, its giant body crushing the stone floor. Theseus stood there panting, looking at the creature he had just defeated. He felt not the joy of a victor, but a tinge of regret. The Minotaur, monster as he was also the victim of a greater tragedy. Theseus used the golden thread to find his way out, taking Ariadne with him as he had promised, but their story did not have a happy ending. On the way back to Athens, Theseus abandoned Ariadne on the island of Naxos, leaving her to her new loneliness. And the Minotaur, he lay in the labyrinth, his crimson eyes closing, forever lost in the darkness he had never left. The Minotaur is more than a mythological monster. He is a symbol of the dark corners of the human soul, uncontrolled anger, forbidden desire, and the consequences of pride. His form, half man, half beast, is a reminder that there is a wild side to each of us, a side that we sometimes try to imprison in our own labyrinths. The labyrinth is not only the Minotaur's prison, but also an image of the trials and fears we must face in order to find the light. But the Minotaur is also a tragic figure. He did not choose his form, he did not choose his fate. Born from the mistake of Minos, cursed by Poseidon and imprisoned by Daedalus, the Minotaur is the result of decisions he never had a say in. His roar may have been a cry for help, but no one was listening. Even its death at the hands of Theseus was not a complete release, but merely the end of a long series of tragedies. Today, the Minotaur lives on in our culture. You can see it in books like Percy Jackson, where it appears as a terrifying yet fascinating foe. In the game God of War, Minotaurs are giant monsters that players have to face with horns and terrifying power. In ancient art, it is depicted on ceramic vases, its glowing red eyes staring straight at the viewer as if telling its story. The Minotaur is more than just a monster. It is a question: what makes a monster? Is it shape or is it fate? What do you think of the Minotaur? Is it terrifying or pitiful? If you were Theseus, would you kill it or try to save it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. So we have entered the labyrinth together, met the Minotaur, a creature cursed from birth, imprisoned in darkness, and finally fell at the hands of a hero. From its tragic origin, lonely life, to controversial death, the Minotaur left us with many thoughts about fate, responsibility, and human nature. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you like the story, don't forget to like, share, and hit the notification bell to watch other mythical journeys. See you in the next labyrinth. Have a great day and be careful not to get lost.